So I got to peep Kadeem Hardison and Jasmine Guy talking about the things they went through with A Different World. A Different World was a very important show, offshoot of the Cosby Show. Bill Cosby, co-creator, brought in Debbie Allen, the famed dancer choreographer for the show, and they wanted to create more HBU, historically black college universities. Because let me tell you something: before Deion Sanders, before ESPN jumped on the wagon, and before Drumline and all that, there was a different world. And I grew up in a time when they might have it on NBC, Black College Game, depends on where you live. You knew about Coach Eddie Robinson, Doug Williams. You knew about a few things. But it wasn't like what they're trying to manipulate now. And I say trying to manipulate because they don't bring the whole gist of it. But Coach Deion Sanders is bringing a lot of it to the forefront, amongst others. And Eddie George too, trying to. But the thing is this. A Different World was a TV show you could see every week on Thursdays. And originally it was centered around Lisa Bonet and Marissa Tomei. And Lisa Bonet did quite well as a director, did some films, etc. Marissa Tomei got that Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, but they were both bombs as far as actresses on A Different World. But when they got us more of the supporting cast, blaming Glenn Truman, Sinbad, Dana Lewis, Jasmine Guy, and Kadeem Hardison were the center parts of the couple and everything, and others. So it was a show that dealt with a wide variety of issues that weren't talked about and touched on. And I'm going to tell you this: if A Different World had been a white show, Happy Days, Fonz aside, would be almost an afterthought, because that's how important A Different World was in the black side of town. And it definitely went into some areas that, definitely flipped the script, even the Aretha Franklin theme song. But anyway, they talked about the politics and the ins and outs of what they incurred and what they endured, the politics about how people downplayed the show. And again, the rarity of it and how important it was, because it does matter with what you see growing up culturally speaking, and for people who are not of black ethnicity and others who don't have an idea of the experience. This was a very important show, and it still is as a rerun of syndication, and it definitely was an important show then and now. So when you see everything, you see what ESPN's trying to do and everything that goes on, this was happening in the late 80s, early 90s, when it didn't have half the attention. And there was a ESPN world that didn't have Disney, didn't have all this, that they was trying to jump late to the party. This was on. So anyway, give me your thoughts. It takes Kadeem Hardison, Jasmine Guy talking about the politics in and out, the racial aspects of A Different World, and the impact Bill Cosby and pushing it to make it, and Debbie Allen, all of them who made that one of the most important shows of the last 35, 40 years. Please hit like, subscribe, and what are your reflections on the show if you remember it? Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for one another, and very important show. And there's a lot of talented people that were on that show, and it's time to give them their flowers and the show. I'm out.